Hey everyone, I wanted to start a new series on this channel, and I wanted it to be with just me talking. And basically, what this video or what these series of videos will be about is just kind of updates on my training and different things that I felt during the week about my training. So if you are looking for this video to be with training footage, then it's not going to have any. But I will continue to kind of post the clips that I have where it's just kind of one specific lift and the different sets that I did with it. Because for me that's a lot easier to edit and to upload because they're shorter videos, and I like having more content than just having a longer like 10-minute video of like one workout, because I think, well, one, it takes a lot longer to edit and to render and to upload and do all that stuff, so it doesn't allow me to post as much during the week, and I'd rather have more frequent posts than to have like a couple posts during the week. And plus, it's just easier for me, so that's just what I prefer. And I think with these kind of videos, I can dive more into my week in general, which I think will be more beneficial to talking about my workouts in a whole week versus just each specific lift I do in each workout that I happen to record. This will give everyone, I guess, I think, a better overview and allow me to kind of um, catalog my thoughts that I have every week. So this past week, was it March 7th to today, which is March 13th, I had 5 or 6 workouts because I worked out yesterday as well. I will probably be doing some cardio today. Nothing too strenuous. Last week I did a little extra benching stuff on Sunday, but I won't be doing anything today because I actually did extra benching stuff yesterday, and that's simply because Brendan, the kid in the videos with the long, beautiful, long, beautiful Garnier for men hair, that often spots me on squats. He was doing benching stuff yesterday, so I decided to do just a little bit as well because the weight he was doing wasn't too out of my range to just do a couple reps with. But with that, my left shoulder was kind of tender when I was doing that, and kind of after when I was doing the couple of accessory lifts that I was planning to do that Saturday or yesterday. So that's something I'm gonna have to keep an eye on. My elbow or bicep, like right there, if you can tell, like there, wasn't really too tender or anything, or at least it hasn't been. I've noticed a little bit at the very end of my upper body workouts that it's trying to start, so it's something that I'm gonna have to pay attention to, and not do stupid things like an additional day of benching because I want to and things like that. So if it starts to flare up, I have to make sure it doesn't, because in order for me to PR at the powerlifting meet that I'm doing April 16th, I can't be dealing with tendonitis and things like that, because it's only going to be at my detriment to deal with that stuff. And I don't want to put all this work in and then have to get to the meet and only be able to hit 275 again. I want to be able to hit 285 or 295 or 300 or whatever I can get. So that's something I'm gonna have to pay attention to. But as far as my lower body work has been going, I've been doing sumo deadlifts last couple of workouts, and I think that's a good way for me to add variety to what I have normally been doing, because I've been doing rack pulls, which is something I generally really haven't done. The video that you saw, if any of you have seen, where I did 605, that was the most I've ever done with a block pull or rack pull or anything, and that was like right below my patella tendon on that like top of your shin bone area. And I was really happy I was able to pull it, able to lock that out, because at least for me, when I get to maximal weights, that's where at least I feel like I struggle. When I watched myself do the 585 in the mock meet that I did, I didn't really look like I got stuck as much as I felt like I got stuck at the top. But that's just kind of what's going to happen with heavier weights. You're just gonna have to grind it out. But hopefully, in the meet, my big goal as far as deadlifts go is to be able to do 605 for my third attempt, and to try that. But what I also have to do, the big thing that I want to focus on for the meet, is not necessarily to PR in all 3 of my lifts, although that would be nice to do, and that's a goal down the list of what I want to do in the meet, because especially since I'll be in the type of environment where I'll be very hyped and full of adrenaline in front of people, friends and maybe family. I think some of my family is probably going to go, but I'll be in a type of environment where it'll be easier to PR. But what I want to do is to make, obviously, my first attempts to all be for sure I'm going to get and have good form and good speed and all that stuff, and to feel good about them. But with all my second attempts, I want them to qualify me for the meet that's in April, or I mean not in April, but in July. That's in Las Vegas, and hopefully, depending on what I can program to get me close to the total that would qualify me for the IPLs that are in November. So will have to, as I get closer, I'll have to start picking numbers with that and to kind of play around with that because I don't want to have to depend on my third attempts to be able to qualify for any of the meets. I want my third attempts to just simply be me trying to PR at my various lifts, and obviously not going crazy so I don't pull a muscle, but PR is where I should be able to hit them in. As far as squatting goes, I would love to hit 450. That will most likely be my third attempt, barring any sort of random big strength gains or strength losses. Um, and all these numbers are going to fluctuate, and I'm going to put them in stone when I get closer. But that's just kind of where I envision myself being able to try. So 450 for a squat, and then for bench, that's going to be my biggest variable. But I know for sure I want my first attempt to be 275 because I know for sure I can do 275, and then I want to jump up to 285, and then jump up to either 295 or around there, and hopefully be able to hit all my attempts at bench. My bench is still feeling really good right now, and it's because I don't have that tendonitis thing, and my mechanics are getting better. I've spread out my hands a little bit on it, so it should cut down my range of motion a little bit, and it still feels really good to have my hands where they are now. So hopefully doing that will help my bench. And as far as deadlifting goes, I just want my last attempt to be over 600 pounds so I can be able to hit 600 pounds before Brendan can. He actually might try to do it at some point before, and he may actually be going to the powerlifting meet with us to do a push-pull um, type because he's had some issues with his hip flexor for squatting. So he said he doesn't really want to do squatting. Plus, like he said, his squats aren't really that high. I think he did 355 for a set of five, which is still really good. But compared, because he'd be in the 198 class, comparing to other people in his weight class, he wouldn't really, as a total, wouldn't be as high as he would like. But if he just did push pull, he would because his deadlift is. We have the same deadlift right now. We both have successfully done 585, and he has attempted 600 and he didn't get it because he did 585 prior to that rep. But I think both of us are pretty darn close to doing 600. So it'll be an interesting little race to have to 600 pounds. Although on my third attempt on my last set of my powerlifting meet, I don't know if I'll be as able to do 600 as I would if I just did it like today and I just warmed up and just did deadlift. I kind of want to do that on just some random day, just to warm up to a heavy single, just to be able to try to do 600 when I'm fresh with it. But as of now, I don't really feel the need to do that, simply just because I want to focus on training and not really just ego lifting, because that's essentially, if I just worked to 600 just to do it, it would just be ego lifting, and it would be, if not my one rep max, very close to it. So it'd be training at a percentage that I wouldn't want to worry about. Another thing with my training is that since I have better numbers to base off my workouts, better, I should say, one rep maxes that are not that they're going to be more stable, but I mean, when I look at my previous like deadlift, I went from 535 to 585, and my bench didn't go up quite as much, but 275 is, or well, my current PR with bench is 280, and doing 275 I did for pause double, so like my bench has gotten better, so it's gone up actually quite a bit. I don't think I could have done pause doubles with weight nearly that much a while ago. And then my squat went up from 385 to 430. So having those huge jumps in those lifts is, I mean, it's like, oh, you know, I'm some macho guy because I could do that. But it's, as far as programming, I don't really want those to happen, because when I'm looking at where I'm trying to look at percentages and based off like I should be able to do this many reps and this and this and this, it's hard with one rep max that is not stable, because obviously if like my one rep max is going to go up 10 pounds and I'm basing it off the 430, then it's like it's hard to like assume that I'm going to make progress, and it's kind of like that. So when I plan my various reps and stuff, I can't really use percentages as much. I kind of use them sometimes. A lot of them for stuff like rack pulls, I can use them a little bit more, but a lot of it I just kind of eyeball it and just think like I should be able to do this weight for this reps, and kind of just do it subjectively because using objective measures like percentages and stuff like that don't really work for me. So now, since I'm doing higher rep stuff and higher rep, like 5 reps, so not really that high reps, I'm able to kind of get a better gauge. Like when I did the 3 of 3 squats, where I did, was it 375, 385, and then 395 on the squats. I was originally planning on doing 5 reps, but then I did my first set and I was like, I'm just gonna do sets of 3. And then I was like, all right, to do sets of 5, I gotta drop down a little bit. So as I move forward, be able to program better, because I'll be able to know what I can do. Because my squat has rapidly increased, I have to get used to squatting new weights for new reps, because like the 355, I think, or 345 that I just did in the squatting video, 345 and 355 and 365, like all the stuff I do is essentially PRs now, because like I've never done that for that amount of reps or in like and all these sets. So it's hard for me to like just sit there and be like, I want to do 85% today, because like what is my 85%? Should I base it off the 450 that I think I'm going to try to do, or should I base it off the 430 that I've done? And it's not like I'm an elite powerlifter or anything, and I'm still a young guy, so like my max is going to go up, but at the same time, I can't really plan for it to go up. Like I can't assume that I'm going to get 450 pounds. I would love to, because that's what I think I'll be able to get on the meet. But at the same time, I could easily fail that, and it's not a true 1 rep max. It's just what I think I could do. Same with deadlifts. I could base it off everything off a 600 deadlift, but at the same time, I haven't done a 500-pound deadlift. And when I did 585, that was a huge grinder. So I can't really assume those kind of things. So in terms of programming, it's rather tricky with that. So in the future, as I get stronger and my 1 rep max becomes more stable, I do want to work more with percentages and take a more scientific approach with it, because I think that is the better way to go to use. For me, I like using AMRAPs, and I want to use percentages more and all that kind of stuff. But it's, like I said, it's hard to use that kind of stuff when your 1 rep max is not really very stable at all. And then there's another variable too. If I get tendonitis or something like I did in my bicep, suddenly my 1 rep max is less. So it's hard to even program for that, because I could take, like, I think I should be able to do on a bench like 285 or 290 right now, but I haven't done it yet. So it's like I have to kind of base it off what I can do, the 280, or what I have done, the 280, because I can't say for sure I could do 285 or 290. I just think I can. But at the same time, I still have to kind of assume that I'm going to get stronger and base it off that, because if I base everything, like the 385, my previous squat, if I base everything off the 385, I'm never going to touch a weight above 385. That's just how percentages work, obviously. You're not going to work at over 100% of your current 1 rep max. But at the same time, I think that would have benefited me more to work up to that 1 rep max and to work up with the heavier weights more. And I think probably another really big thing that I'm trying to do, and I mentioned this before in I think a previous video, with what I'm trying to do is, like I mentioned, like for the squats or whatever, where I do 365, 355, and 360, like increments of 10, adding weight each set. I want to be able to do that more, and I think that's something that's going to help me work with heavier weights more often, and it's going to help me progress more, because obviously for it, and I think it's more specific to powerlifting, because obviously you're not going to do 3 sets of the same weight or 3 attempts at the same weight for anything unless you fail a weight. But being able to do that, I think, will allow me to progress to heavier weights better, and not to be stuck at, like, if I was doing 355 for 3 sets of 5, to go from 355 and the next week do 365. I'm able to go start at a lighter weight and then build to heavier weights more so than I would, because essentially I treat those like 3 lifts, or the 3 sets that I do, like I would a powerlifting meet. The first set is like, all right, I for sure, like 345 is like, I for sure got 5 reps on this. There's no way that I'm not gonna get 5 reps. And 355, I was like, I'm almost positive I'm gonna get 5 reps on this. And then the 365 was a bit pushing it, where it was like, I definitely need a spotter. I think I can get 5 reps, but we'll see how it goes. And the same thing I did with the 3 reps. It's like the 375, I did the 3, and then I was like, all right, I'm good. 385, I'm like, we should be good. And then the 395, I'm like, we'll see. And then I go from there. And so I want to start training a lot of my lifts like that. I've really only done it with squats, or I just did a similar thing with deadlifts with sumo. I did 435, 445, and then 455. And the thing with deadlifts is that, like, I'm really good at them, and it sounds like such a like a douchey thing to say, but like I don't ever have an issue hitting whatever weight I really want to with deadlifts. The only thing that breaks down is my form. So even if, for instance, 455 was too much for me to do, I'd still be able to like get the rep, which is good and bad. I mean, obviously it's good to be able to get the reps. At the same time, when your form breaks down, that's when bad things happen. That's when I strain my back or when things start to hurt. So it's not necessarily good in that sense, and it's something I really have to pay attention to when I'm deadlifting in order to remain pain-free and to recover optimally, is to keep my form ideal and not to simply just try to get all the reps that I'm planning to get and just grind through them like I would for a squat or for a bench or something. Because if I'm doing a squat, my form isn't going to get bad enough to where I'm going to get hurt if I'm trying to grind out a weight. The same thing with bench. The only thing is the weight gets slow and then I'm just trying to push through the weight. But with a deadlift, as soon as I start to grind out, my back will start to round and like things like that will start to happen. And a lot of the stress goes to my lower back, which can be dangerous for me to do. So it's more tricky to do the deadlift in that regard, but it is good that I'm very glad that I am I'm built very well for deadlifts, and so generally any weight that I do isn't very bad. I think the last thing I want to mention is kind of rack pulls and what I've noticed about them, because that's the newest addition and kind of a unique lift because I haven't really done block pulls ever that high. What I have noticed is that it puts a lot of pressure on my lower back, and it's not bad pressure because I'm trying to like, when you squeeze your abs in order to lift the weight up, that's where I feel a lot of the lift. And what I noticed too is that even when I'm grinding out weights, like even when I did the 605, my back didn't really round that much, which is really good. And I think doing rack pulls like that are going to really strengthen obviously the top portion of the deadlift, but also my back in general, because it puts a lot of the strain on my back, and that's what I really need to strengthen, is just being able to have it stabilized, because I'm able to lift higher weight than I think what my body is strong enough for, just because I have really good levers in for deadlifting stuff. So in order to strengthen my back and to continue to work on the top portion of the deadlift, I think rack pulls are going to be very beneficial, and there's something that they feel really good with it. The only thing I probably won't do with them very much is any sort of raw grip, because thankfully I haven't really had too much issues. Obviously in the mock meet I dropped the 560 that I was doing, but I don't, it wasn't really an issue with my grip. It's just well, I say that as my hand slipped. It obviously is an issue with the grip. It's not an issue with my grip strength, but it was just an issue of my thumb slipping out. And when that happens, I can't lift the weight. That's just how it's going to be. But I'm perfectly confident. Obviously, I did a 585 when I did that. My grip felt fine the entire time. It's just really about getting my hands in there or my thumb under and really secure when I'm doing the hook grip. And when I do that, then I should be fine. But it becomes much more difficult to do it in like a rack pull or an abbreviated lift. It's much easier to do a hook grip, at least for me, from the floor when I have that bottom portion of it. And maybe that's just me, but it doesn't really seem, I don't really see much of a point to work too much with my hook grip on rack pulls, because it's going to be more strenuous on my grip and my hook grip ability than it is going to be on what I want to focus on with those. And I'm going to get plenty of work with my hook grip. I still do, like when I do sumo, I still do like what I've done before, the first rep with a hook grip and then the rest with straps. So I'm still getting the work with the hook grip and strengthening my thumb and killing all the nerves around it and that kind of stuff. So I have, I will hopefully still be able to progress and not have to worry about my hook grip being a limiting factor, and I don't really envision it going to be. So, like I mentioned with this will kind of be, I guess, a series of videos. I'm going to try to do a video like this once a week, every Sunday. So look for these, and I'll probably post them when I go into the rec center where I work, because the Wi-Fi there is much faster. So I'll post them probably around noon every day, depending on how quickly it uploads or if I have any issues with that. I can't guarantee they'll be here every week, but I'll try to make one at least once a week with updates about kind of basically what I talked about in this video, the previous week, and kind of my plans for the future week. Oh, and before I go, the one last thing for the plan for next week, what I want to do is, for squats, is to do kind of accessory movements, really heavy accessory movements. So I want to do box squats and Anderson squats, and not do any actual squats, like just regular squats, I want to focus on the two accessory movements. So I want to be able to do box squats with my current 1 rep max, which I should be able to because it's the box squat. And I also want to do Anderson squats where I progress each set and do sets of 3 with that because I'm a huge fan of Anderson squats now. I think they help a ton to get out of the hole, which is for I think for most people, but for me especially, it's the most difficult part of the squat is breaking that grind or the whatever that the halfway up a squat that everyone struggles in, whatever you call that sticking point. That's what it is. So that's kind of my thoughts for next week with as far as my squatting goes. I do want to start messing around with accessory type movements for benching as well, and I've been messing around with accessory stuff for accessory deadlift movements like deficit pulls and rack pulls, obviously. And I have to see what I can do with the bench press. I want to work a lot with the lockout because that's going to be my weakest point. And whether that's with Spoto press or I don't know what they'd be called, but like kind of like the version of Anderson squats where you go down to the safety rack and then push up, or floor press. Not a huge fan of floor pressing. It's kind of awkward, but I'll figure out something because I definitely want to improve my bench as much as I can before the meet and be able to get a comfortable second attempt for all my lifts is going to be the big thing. Because as long as I get all my second attempts, then everything I get on top of that will just be icing on the cake. And as far as the meet goes, I definitely want to have I don't have a goal as many successful attempts as I can, but all my second attempts I want to be able to get. So I guess I have 3, or I guess it will be 6 if assuming I get all my first attempts. So I want to be able to get those 6 attempts and then get all. Obviously, I want to get all my attempts, but I would really want to focus on getting my second attempts. And if I get anything additional, then that's just great. But with that, that's really about all I have to talk about this video. Wow, it's almost already 22 minutes long. So if you made it this far, you get a huge kudos to me because I probably won't even listen to myself talk for 22 minutes. I guess I just kind of did because I made this video. But yeah, that's really about it. If you have any thoughts or comments or kind of any recommendations or tips of the stuff I've talked about or just about powerlifting meets in general, one thing I am kind of curious about is the amount of time that's in between each lift. If any of you know that, I will post that question in the description down below. So if you haven't made it this far in the video, and if you haven't made it this far in the video, then obviously you're not listening to me say if you haven't made it this far in the video. But I would really appreciate someone talking about that in more detail because that will benefit me and Seth and Brendan as well if he decides that he wants to do the meet with us, with time in between and also the time that you have when they call out your name to come out and perform the lift, because that's something that is something I'll have to work on is the amount of time when I get to my lift and before I start. I think based on what I've seen in videos of people doing powerlifting meets, it'll probably be too long. But anywho, I'll post my questions for you all to answer or to give your thoughts on down below. And if you have any other general thoughts about this video, please leave those down below as well because I love getting feedback on the stuff I do on the internet. And as always, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.